What's happening, my fellow geeks on the internet? I'm TGun, and today I'm coming at you with another video. This time I have a very special video for you guys, as this time I will be reviewing my first ever Bumblebee figure that I ever owned when I was a little kid, which is the Transformers 2007 movie concept Camaro Bumblebee. And yeah, this figure is something that's really special to me as I said, this was the very first Transformers figure I ever owned. I got it sometime after the first movie came out. I don't remember the lead up to the 2007 movie too much. I think I saw like a few trailers or ads on TV. Really wanted to see the movie, but sadly missed out on the cinema release. And then sometime afterwards, I'm thinking it was Christmas that year, or was around that time, I got the 2007 Transformers movie as a DVD for a present. And when I saw that for the first time, it really blew me away. Anyway, fast forward to sometime later, I was in the shopping center with my family, and as we were about to leave, I remember seeing a wall of a bunch of different Transformers figures, and I remember pleading with my mum to get this one, and I just really wanted a Bumblebee. And yes, this is just really cool. I always knew that once I got back into collecting, in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to own this figure again. I think it would be just really cool, and yeah, now I own him again. So as you can see, it's still mint in box. And yeah, it looks really cool. But yeah, another reason why I wanted to get this figure is I've really been falling in love with doing some retro collecting, getting some of the old movie toys, as I think a lot of those still hold up to this day. While they may not be as 100% accurate as some other figures, like some of the Studio Series figures or anything like that, there's just a charm about these figures that the Studio Series just does not have. Let's have a look at this beautiful box. God, I miss the days when figures used to be packaged in vehicle mode like this. It's just so cool. So as you can see, it's got this really nice bubble packaging. You got the figure in vehicle mode, which I just think it is so much more unique. You know, you only get like you get like the head artwork here of Bumblebee, and then you have like the back card to show what the robot mode will look like, and of course the instructions, but you don't actually get to see the robot mode in hand until you transform it. And I just think that just made, you know, getting these figures just that much more special. And yeah, so as you can see, you got a hanger, you got the Autobot logo up there, Transformers, age 5 up. You got the eye in the background, because the whole selling point of the movie was more than meets the eye. And yeah, they had like a really cool Cybertronic eye in the background. You can see you got the instructions down there. Bumblebee, Autobot, Transformers.com. You got the Bumblebee head print as mentioned. You got this really nice Autobot logo here. You can see it's a Deluxe class. Inside, just some more details for the eye, which I think is really cool. And then coming onto the back, you can see the other figures in this wave. So I believe this guy was wave 2 or 3. I think wave 3. And you can just see some of his other wave mates at the time. We got RC, Wreckage, Dreadwing, Swindle, and Scorponok. All really cool figures. By the way, I actually just recently got this RC. You got the Transformers Collectors Club, which I don't think is a thing anymore. DreamWorks Pictures and Paramount. You got the concept Camaro mode. You got the beautiful looking robot mode. Again, not 100% accurate, but this guy's gorgeous. And of course, you've got a paragraph for the bio. Remember when they used to do proper bios? I'll give you a chance to read that if you like. And then they have tech specs. God, I miss the tech specs. These were so cool. I think I saw someone else talk about this. Not a lot of other toy lines did tech specs. I think it was mostly a Transformers thing. And they were so cool. Strength 6, intelligence 8, speed 6, endurance 5, rank 5, courage 10, fire blast 3, and skill 9. So, yeah. And then up at the top, you can see Transformers Autobot logo. And then you got level 3 advanced conversion, because they used to have the different like numbers for the conversions. I don't know if they still do that or not, but yeah. And for a little fun comparison, here he is with my most recent pickup, which is the Studio Series Skywalk. I just thought it'd be cool to compare the different packaging. And of course, yes, the change of time. But God, I miss, you know, figures being packaged in their alt modes. So, yeah. And then, of course, they don't have the plastic bubbles anymore, or any plastic anymore, but yeah. Now, I'm not actually going to open this figure. I've always said to myself, if I ever got this figure again, I wouldn't actually unbox it. If I ever got this figure again, I'd want to keep it mint in box. So, I bought a second one. So I found another one for a really good price. I couldn't say no, and yeah, now I've got another one, which I'll actually review. And the reason why he's in the bubble wrap is because I thought it'd be cool just to do like the first hands-on experience on camera. First time actually handling this figure since I had it as a kid. Because I think I originally sold all my Transformers figures sometime when I was in high school. So it'll be cool just to, you know, unwrap him on camera for you guys. As you can see, it's the exact same figure. I ended up coming across for this for a really good deal, and I just couldn't say no. So, there he is. There we go. And there's Bumblebee. He rolls really nicely. There's his underside. Now, I think the seller had said that he only transformed him like a couple times too. But yeah. It's just really cool having this figure in hand again. It's so awesome. Got some weight to him as well. Let's look at the details. So, yeah. Got some nice transparent blue plastic. You can see a bit of kibble inside. Got the really nice racing stripes. I really love this color yellow. I don't think like the Camaros actually come in this color. I think they normally come in like a brighter yellow. But again, this was concept, and yeah, I've always preferred this more orangey yellow color scheme for Bumblebee. I just think it looks a lot nicer than the pale yellow. Got pinned wheels. God, remember when they used to do pinned wheels on figures? Got the really nice front. And yeah, you got Camaro written on the side. I'll just zoom in. Camaro. Got the little Chevy logo there. That's not on to stay in. And yeah. Got the petrol tank there. Yeah, overall, really amazing figure. Now to start off with some of the comparisons. So starting off with the original movie Bumblebee figure next to the Studio Series remake. Granted, this is the Dark of the Moon variant, but I sold my 07 Concept Camaro Studio Series figure just simply because I've really fallen out of love with this Bumblebee mold. And I didn't want to have two of them. So I just kept my preferred look, which is the Dark of the Moon Bumblebee look, because that's my favorite Bumblebee design. But yeah, that's how they look. So it's really interesting to see the different size comparisons. So you got Bumblebee and his little boy, his little baby boy. Again, I much prefer the yellow in here than this one. This isn't as bad as like the Studio Series 100 Bumblebee. I'm not too big on that sort of shady yellow on Bumblebee figures. I much prefer, again, this sort of like much more darker color. And yeah, this guy rolls really nicely. With really nice pinwheels. And this guy, not so much. I don't know if that's just me or if it's just the fact that there's a lot of kibble under here, and the fact that it's pegged wheels, but yeah. Another comparison. So let me know down below which do you prefer, the original figure or the Studio Series remake in terms of alt mode. Next comparison, the first, or one of the first movie Bumblebee figures with the final Bumblebee movie figure. So we got the 07 with The Last Night. So this is 10 years after this guy came out. You can see they already started to shrink down the toys. This does want to peg in. But this is maybe the best version, as, again, I prefer this sort of yellow for Bumblebee. And plus this came with the Warhammer and the correct cannon, as the retail one had his cannon on his left arm for some reason. Even though in the Bay films he always used his right arm to shoot. So, bit of an odd thing, but yeah. And this guy rolls decently well. Again, pegged wheels, but here's a really nice roll. yeah. I've always liked this design too, but it's just, yeah, cool to see the different comparisons. And I don't have the 77 Camaro Bumblebee from the 2007 toy line, so here is the Rise of the Beasts version. Probably the closest thing I have. And yeah. Mural's pretty good as well. So, yeah. Obviously, there's parts in this that the original movie didn't have. Like, the original one didn't have racing stripes on the roof. They didn't have all this off-road stuff as well. So, they didn't have, like, this roll bar or the off-road wheels and stuff. So... But, I mean, this is probably as close. And then the spoiler didn't have these extra bits on top. So, yeah, there's a few things that are different. But I still want to show these off together anyway. And now for some other comparisons. Here is the 07 Bumblebee with the Deluxe Jazz. And Long Arm. Which, sadly, this part broke. But, yeah. Just some cool comparisons. Move him off to the side. These are really cool. This figure has always been really cool. I always, as a kid, thought he might have been like the 6th Autobot if there was like another one. Or no, 7th Autobot. 6th would have been RC, 7th would have been this guy. Because this is, of course, is the truck that Michaela drove at the end of the film. I had the version that came in like a battle pack that had like a little Michaela figure sculpted inside, and then you got like a little figurine of Bumblebee with his legs missing. So I always had that version, whereas it's just the standard deluxe release. I had like the final battle version of this figure, and yeah, he was always used as like the extra member of the Autobot team. That's how they look. And yeah, Jazz. I never owned the Deluxe Jazz as a kid. I didn't own like a lot of Transformers figures from the 2007 toy line. I remember getting this guy, and then it wasn't until I think Revenge of the Fallen when I got the next few. But I've always loved how these older figures look. So, and one final comparison we have is Cliff Jumper. Because as part of the toy line, I think it was wave 7 or 8, they did the All-Spark Power. Or maybe it was wave 6. 6 or 7 or 8, one of those three. They did the All-Spark Power, and of course they did the obligatory Cliff Jumper repaint. So, yeah, which was really cool. So it's obviously the same mold, except this one's just red with silver stripes. No silver on the back here. And then you got the Camaro logo. So, yeah, and then you got underneath. But yeah, just really cool to see. Now for transformation, I haven't actually transformed this guy yet. As you saw, I only opened this for this video, so... And I don't have instructions for this one, so this is going to be interesting. So we'll see how I go. So yeah, let's start with opening the doors. I always remember starting with that. I think they just come out a little bit. That opens up, and I think these, they detach. Legs separate, and there's his weapons. I'll come back to that. Trying to remember. Gotta separate these first. I watched some videos, but I didn't really pay attention to the transformation because I really wanted to try and work it out for myself on camera. So, yeah. You got the awesome automorph technique, which of course this sort of transformation just became standard with all Bumblebee toys, and even to this day there's a lot of similarities of where places would end up with these part of the rims on the thighs. You got the back of the car down here, the wheels on the foot, which is really cool. I can't remember if this is supposed to be folded up or not, the back. I think so. I can't remember. And yeah, the automorph again. Just really cool. Fold that down. And then bring that back. Move the arms out of the way. Don't know if I've And there we go. The secondary automorph. Better move that out of the way. That back plugs in. And there's that. So that's the secondary automorph, is this feature, which is really cool. And that just taps in, brings the chest forward. Gotta make sure clear everything out. So some of the engineering, you know, gets a bit crowded, but once you maneuver everything correctly, it's fine. Got the doors, you angle them, twist these back. And there is Bumblebee. I don't know how much of that was off camera, but I'll just angle them. And there is Bumblebee in his robot mode. And here's the Transformers 2007 Deluxe class Bumblebee in his robot mode, and this guy just looks awesome. There's no use of faux parts anywhere. This guy wears his alt mode with pride, and I just love it for that. It does add a little bit of extra bulk, but honestly, it just adds to the charm of this figure. Like, it doesn't need to be movie accurate. For what it was trying to do back in 2007, this guy pulls it off perfectly. Having a transformable toy of Bumblebee in your own home, that's all you need with this guy. The plastic is really nice quality and really holds up. And even for a 2007 figure, that's a lot of good articulation with this guy. So quickly on the articulation, head's on a ball joint. His arms, shoulders are also on a ball joint. You got a bit of bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, rotate at the wrist. Waist is on a ball joint as well. You got leg can kick up about that far, can kick back really far. You got bend at the knee, and then you got this really cool transformation joint. So this like sort of pivots, and then you got the toe as well. I think if you lower this back, yeah, you got this transformation joint. But yeah, this guy is just awesome. I love handling this guy. And yeah, again, no faux parts. The only faux part is this license plate, but that's because you literally couldn't get the license plate from here to here. And I mean, that's fine. In robot mode, all the car bits are genuinely from the car. So that's just something I really love. So yeah, for his accessory, he does of course come with his plasma cannon. And this is a really cool weapon. So just literally clips in the hand like so. And then, you know, he's got this iconic plasma cannon. But this also has another function where you can actually open it up to have an energon blade, which is really cool. And I remember for the longest time as a kid, I thought I saw Bumblebee have the blade. Like, after he fights Barricade, I thought that's where this blade came in. Was that he used this blade to take down Barricade. And then when he goes to meet Sam, that's what he was putting away. But no, he doesn't have it in the movie. But yeah, that's just a funny little headcanon that I had as a kid, was that he used this sword, or this blade, to take out Barricade when they had their fight. And yeah, that was just a bit of fun headcanon that I had for myself. So yeah, so I'm going to switch back to canon mode anyway. But yeah, I think something that I used to do as a kid too, I'll try and hide the hem by doing that. So that's a cool look as well. But yeah, overall, this guy just looks awesome. And these back door wings can articulate, and probably one of the best versions of the door wings. Like, even the wheels go into the, like, very close to where they're supposed to sit on the actual CGI model, which is really cool. So, got this really nice tilted look. And yeah, the head sculpt too, I believe it's based on concept art. It's obviously not the best, and hell, even at times it does kind of look like a Vader mouthpiece. But overall, it's a really cool head sculpt, and a really good first attempt at trying to recreate this Bumblebee head design. I think the best toy line head design is the Battle Blade / Human Alliance Bumblebee. They have the best head sculpt. Not just because of the battle mask, but I just think overall that's the best. Followed closely by Dark of the Moon. But yeah, still a very good first attempt. You got the license plate. Yeah. Obviously, all the robot mode's done in black because I guess they were still trying to work out how to paint this guy back then. But then you got the Bumblebee Capture Sequence Battle Pack where they changed all the black to like a grey. Then you got the Premium Series, which does the same thing, where it has this really nice metallic grey. So, yeah. And now for some comparisons, I'm actually going to start off with the other Autobots this time and save the Bumblebee comparisons for a little bit later on, because it's a little bit I want to go into. But, yeah, starting off, here he is with Long Arm. Yeah, these guys look really cool together. Obviously, this guy never transformed in the movie, but it was a really cool, like, concept design of what if the truck Michaela drove transformed. So, yeah. They look really nice together. Here, of course, is Bumblebee with Jazz. Yeah, these guys look cool. They even scale pretty well, too, considering back then they probably weren't focusing on scale. These guys scale really well. So, yeah. And I think both the head designs are based off their concept art, because obviously you got the reversed ears on Jazz, and he looks a bit more like an insect, which I've always kind of liked. But yeah. And then here he is with my first ever Ironhide figure. And yeah, they just look really cool. So, as a kid, I never owned Jazz. I had the leader, like Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon Leader Class Optimus Prime figures. I had this Ironhide, the Deep Desert Tracker Ratchet. I had both this and the Human Alliance Bumblebee, and then I had the Revenge of the Fallen Dark of the Moon Sideswipe. Never had Jazz, but yeah, it's just really cool to get this version. Because I started doing the retro collecting, I went with the Movie the Best version just purely because I didn't want to have the plain grey alt mode. But yeah, they just look really cool together. And quickly to get it out of the way, here is Bumblebee next to Cliffjumper. Which is really cool. So obviously all painted up as you'd expect for Cliffjumper. It's really cool. A lot more red on like the Cliffjumper head sculpt than I probably would have liked. Would have liked a bit more grey or black or something just to sort of break up all the red. But I mean, that's something I could always do later if I really wanted to. But yeah, it was really nice. And yeah, this mold isn't perfect. It does have some issues, like especially with the shoulders. Like these bits tend to fall off a fair bit. Like this one just comes off really easily. So that's something I need to go in and glue in place. But like the shoulder even comes off the ball joint. While transforming this guy, the shoulder came off and had a bit of a time trying to pop it back on. But yeah, once you sort it out and arrange everything properly, it looks really nice. And I like displaying Cliffjumper with the blade, just a little bit different. So Bumblebee can have the cannon, Cliff can have the sword. So yeah, that's how I'm going to display him. These two brothers, or mold mates, clones, whatever you want to call them. But yeah. And then, of course, this also has the Allspark Blue going through it as well, which isn't as, like, because this was part of the Allspark power line, there's a bunch of versions that had, like, a lot of blue. Like, this guy had a Allspark power release, which came like a tube, and, like, I think these, like, all the racing stripes were, like, a Allspark blue, and there's more blue throughout, which they just really abuse that color. But on here, it's really nice and dialed back. You got, like, a little bit on the waist and on the arm, and just a little bit on the head, which I just think looks so much better when it's dialed back, not when it's, like, overly done on Bumblebee and Jazz. So, yeah. But now for some Bumblebee mold comparisons. Here he is with the Rise of the Beast version. So, one of the first Bumblebees with the most recent. And yeah. This guy's I think this guy's a bit of a combination of heaps of different Bumblebee molds sort of all together. I think this one also did the most change when it came to the feet and lower leg, because a lot of figures still had, like, they implemented this part a little bit better, but you always had like the wheel on the foot, whereas on here you got the wheel actually up here. I don't like how these feet sit far back. I wish you could actually move them a bit forward. That's been my biggest issue about this figure. Like, don't get me wrong, this is a cool figure, but my biggest issue was always these wheels sticking out and then these feet sitting so far back. Kind of wish you could kind of like click it forward and maybe like rotate this bit around so the wheels stick out backwards or something. But yeah, that's how they look. And then here is how he looks with the Last Night Bumblebee. Again, I really like the mold that they use for this and the engineering. I wish I still had the Studio Series Clunker Bumblebee, but I've sold that a while ago. Again, I really like the use of this, like the engineering of this figure and that. And you can see, can you stay? Thank you. They obviously implemented like very similar parts of the legs. So if I raise his arm up a little bit, you can see that this wheel well section on the waist, which is just like on the figure here, but then this bit, instead of sticking out as a big chunk on the back of the legs, it just folds up a bit tidier, which I kind of like. And then you got the wheel on the inside, which, I mean, there's no right or wrong way about it because the Bumblebee design has the wheel dead center of the ankle, but I kind of do prefer how the wheel looks on the inside a bit better. But yeah, it's really cool to compare the, the base figure where they started from to like how they transformed or developed over the years. So yeah. And then here he is with the Studio Series. So yeah, I've, as I said, fallen out of love with this mold. I thought it was cool at first release, but then the more I looked at it, I really started falling out of love with it. Getting in hand as well, like transforming this guy is not fun. They try to implement so much engineering into this small figure that it's just sometimes just parts falling off. Like I think when I transformed this guy from car to robot mode, I did one of the legs because it detached from the, like, the popped off the ball joint, so I just transformed the leg and put it back on once it was in robot mode. It's just very like crowded. I mean, I do like the arms, how the arms look. They're probably the most accurate take of the Bumblebee arms, as these are very thin, but overall, yeah, stand up. And as mentioned earlier, I did own the 07 Bumblebee, but I ended up selling that figure because I was just wanting to slim down my collection. And again, I didn't want to have two different versions of the same mold, and I wanted to keep this one as I prefer the Dark of the Moon deco. One thing I liked about this is, again, he wears his alt mode with pride. There's no faux parts or anything like that. Even on this guy, not a lot of faux parts. Just, I guess, the Chevy logo in there. And I guess you could count the shins, but I don't really count them as faux parts, as they're sort of like the robot kibble. They're not car parts. Whereas this guy has a faux chest to do the curved chest design, which, I mean, I get, because there's no way to really curve that. But, I don't know. I'm not too big on the faux aspects of some of these Studio Series figures. This one is much more understandable as the Dark of the Moon, like, chest bracket brace thing, which, makes sense. But, yeah. Really nice paint, though, but, yeah. And I've never been a big fan of this sort of head design. Yeah, it's accurate, but I don't know. I feel like the head should be a bit more rounder. As I said, the best head design for Bumblebee in toy form was probably the Battle Blade / Human Alliance head sculpt, as they're basically the same, just the Battle Blade is a small, like a shrunken down version of the Human Alliance. Then I'll probably go the Dark of the Moon Deluxe Bumblebee, like just a standard one. Probably the second best head design. And then, I don't know what would be the third. But, yeah. I'm not trying to, like, really heavily slam this figure. Just because I don't like this figure and you like it, that's great. But I just personally get more enjoyment out of this figure. This is my first Bumblebee, so I'm very nostalgic and biased towards how this figure looks and feels and transforms and everything. But again, some of you watching this might have been your first Bumblebee figure, and I completely understand that. I just want to kind of do like this retrospective type review or look back, whatever you want to call it, at this older figure, just to kind of look at where we started from to where we are now, and go over, you know, why I fell in love with this figure. Because, again, I grew up with the Bayverse trilogy. So if you don't like this figure whatsoever and you prefer this, that's great. But I just thought it'd be cool just to do a bit of a look back. So I ended up getting these figures, and I hadn't opened this yet, and decided, hey, this could make for a really cool video, opening this up for the first time on camera, feeling it in hand for the first time, transforming it, and all that. So, and then comparing it together. So, yeah. Again, if you love this figure, more power to you. But yeah, to me, I'm not a big fan of this figure. So, just don't want people coming at me in the comments, because I'm just only going off my opinion. And yeah. So that's how they look. And the last comparison I want to do here, and sort of the main reason why I wanted to do this video, is here is the first attempt at the Concept Camaro 2007 Bumblebee with the Masterpiece, the best version of this Bumblebee. And yeah, it's really cool. I think the only thing that this guy does better is the color, because again, I love this yellow. But yeah, this is, I think, hands down the best version of this Bumblebee. Now this is a knockoff, as I got the Wasp Warrior 01, so it's got much better paint scheme. Same mold, just the chest bit folds up a bit better, like more movie accurate. And then you got some really nice silver paint with copper and gold highlights. So it's the best version of the Masterpiece mold. And this brings me to another reason why I wanted to do this video. It's sort of to introduce this new video series that I'm wanting to work on, which is going to be looking at some of these figures compared to the NPM figures. So the NPM collection I'm going to be dubbing as my perfect collection, as to me these are the perfect representation of the 07 Autobots from the first movie. So I want to go through, look at the different figures that I now own, do like a review-esque sort of video / take a look at these figures. I know there's a bunch of other reviews out there as well, but I just wanted to, you know, do my own take of like a video. So I'm going to be dubbing that my perfect collection. But then, much like this more retrospective review that I did today of this Bumblebee, I'm going to be doing the same sort of thing with, I guess, my dream collection, which is looking out of the toy lines from the 07 film to Dark of the Moon. We'll be looking at individual figures that will be going towards a group of the 07 Autobots, which with versions that some of which I never owned. So I owned the Leader Class Optimus and Voyager Ratchet molds as a kid, which I will be talking about in those videos. But for the Jazz, Ironhide, and particular Bumblebee that I want to talk about, which I used to watch reviews on like all the time, which I consider to be the best versions of these characters back then. Hope that sort of makes sense, but I'm going to be doing like basically a comparison of what I consider to be the best versions of the 07 Autobots growing up with the toy lines versus the definitive versions that still transform that you can get now, sort of deal. But I'm really looking forward to doing those sort of videos, and I hope you guys look forward to seeing them as well. Thank you for sitting through this video. Let me know what you think of this figure down below. Thank you for sitting through my rambling if you got all this way to the end. And yeah, please come like, subscribe, and share for more. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright,